Good afternoon. We are going to discuss the RTP for the September 26. As you know, first it is MCQ, then followed by descriptive. First we are going to discuss the MCQ questions. And I should say this MCQ questions are, not the usual MCQ which we see. It is good questions. I should say it is above average questions. Okay. So without delay, let's start. Okay. So if you can see, they have given a big case study. Okay. Case scenario question. It's a very big case study. See, it's almost two page plus there is a case study, then followed by 5 questions. As you know, whenever such big question comes, what is our approach? Guys, I hope all of you know. Whenever such big question comes, if possible, follow the reverse strategy. What is the reverse strategy? First, go to the questions. Okay. Then read the relevant passage of the para. So whatever approach we do for the exams, let's try it out. Okay. So are you all there with me? So the first question, okay, I'm following the approach which we are going to follow in the exam hall. The first one, which of the following best describes CA Arjun's conduct regarding the identified foreign exchange on non-compliance? So they are asking about CA Arjun. Okay, something regarding the conduct. You saw this conduct. Now with this, please go to the passage. Okay, here. So the first passage. Now you can read. CA Arjun is the statutory auditor of XYZ Limited, was engaged to conduct the audit of FS for the year. During the year, the company undertook complex cross-border restructuring involving overseas subsidiaries, extensive import-export transaction, compliance with applicable foreign exchange transaction. Before accepting and continuing the engagement, Arjun ensured the team possessed necessary professional competence, industry expertise, updated technical knowledge required. During the course of the audit, Arjun identified instances of delayed realization of export proceeds, related non-compliance of Forex. So they are dealing with Forex, so he identified some kind of non-compliance. Management represented that delays were temporary and expected to be resolved through ongoing negotiations with the customers. Management further requested that these matters, should not be specifically highlighted in the documentations or communication with the TCWG. Considering company's long-standing relationship with the firm and the possibility of losing the future assignment, Arjun intentionally avoided documenting and communicating these non-compliance and continued performing procedure. Now, this is the first question, relevant passage. Okay. Next is, okay. So can you say, did Arjun do correct? He came across some non-compliance. He thought because of the good relationship with the client, we need not document or we need not report, because he thought if he does, he will lose the future. Is it correct? See, first option is what? He has complied with all ethical requirement. That's the first option. He complied with ethical requirement. First. Only professional competence. See, he did not exercise due care. He did not, competence, technical, ethical, professional standards. He's not competent. His conduct results in professional behavior and ethical responsibilities. There is no ethical violation. Out of these four, which do you think it is the most appropriate? For the exam, use ruling out technique. See, there is a non-compliance. Okay. So he has not complied with ethical requirement. There is some violation. So it is not A, it is not D. Which is the most appropriate one? See, the second option says only professional competence is violated. Third option says professional behavior, ethical responsibilities. Which is most correct? Ma'am, he didn't report the non-compliance, so he did not exercise due care. See, the first passage says he and his team possess the knowledge. They know, they have the knowledge. So it's not the competence issue alone. Knowingly, he knows the things. He did not communicate. See, intentionally, he did not do. And I'll show you my material. See, we have 5 fundamental principles, right? Integrity, objectivity, confidentiality, professional competence, professional behavior. Here it is non-compliance of law. Because he did not report the non-compliance, he is bringing disrepute, discredit to the profession. Can you read this? Professional behavior means what? It requires a chartered accountant to comply with the relevant law and regulation, so that it can be avoid any discredit to the profession. Here it is laws and regulation. So the answer is correct. So the answer is C. Why? Because of laws and regulation plus team has been already competent. That is already seen in the first passage. Are we clear? So this particular question is with respect to chapter number 11 in that 5 fundamental principles in that professional behavior, where you have to check the compliance with the laws and regulation. If not, you are bringing discredit to the profession. If this is okay, can you say Q2? Okay. Now, next question. Based on the procedures performed for the trade receivables, which of the following represents the significant audit concern? See, they have asked you the most significant concern with respect to trade receivables, which is other words debtors. Now, can you go in search of trade receivables in this question? Where is trade receivables? Did you see? Now, can you read this passage? Okay. While auditing the trade receivables arising largely from overseas operations affected by restructuring, Arjun obtained an aging analysis which showed that 60% of receivables balance were outstanding for 180 days. And aging report, aging analysis, etc., you obtain from the management. We learn in chapter number 5, items in FS. After you obtain the aging analysis, what will you do? You calculate how much provision should be provided. Debtors less provision will be the final amount of debtors or trade receivables. Now there is a long outstanding debtors, trade receivables. Management explained that delays were in the industry-wide, assured auditor that they were fully recoverable. So they said it is fully recoverable, so no need to put much provision. Ongoing restructuring negotiation expected settlement. The auditor neither obtained confirmation nor examined the subsequent receipts. Why? Primarily, they relied upon the representation, SA 580. And the past recovery while concluding that provision was adequate. So auditor believed on the words, he accepted the representation and he did not check much. He did not obtain external confirmation. He did not check the subsequent realization. Now, what is the What did they ask? Significant audit concern. Now, tell me, risk that receivables may not exist due to fictitious sales entry. I'll discuss the answer. So let me know what is your answer. Risk that receivables are understated due to incomplete recording. Incomplete meaning completeness. Risk that receivables are overstated due to inadequate provision. Risk that receivables are incorrectly classified between current and non-current. So guys, in the question, okay, what is the issue? Long outstanding debtors. Long outstanding debtors means what? It should be, more outstanding, more provision should be provided. We did not check. Okay, we did not check. So what is the main issue involved? Let's once more read. See, fictitious sales entry. There is no hint in the question that fictitious sales occurred. No. So it's not A. Incomplete recording. There is no hint in the question that there is an incomplete recording or there is a omission, not all transaction. Now, see, 180 days plus outstanding debtors. We blindly relied on the management representation. They said, what did they say? They are in the reconstruction phase. See, they are in the reconstruction phase. So, fully recoverable. Believing it fully recoverable without obtaining confirmation, without checking the subsequent realization, we blindly thought provision is adequate. Actually, more outstanding means more provision should be provided. We did not check, we blindly relied on the representation, etc. So, more provision should have been provided. If more provision, debtor should have been less. As of now, we did not check. So, debtors are overstated, understated. We should have checked the provision. If provision should be more, debtor should have been less. We did not check. So, debtors are indirectly overstated. So, the correct option is C. Why, ma'am, it's not D? See, this is presentation and disclosure issue. Where they said debtors are current and non-current. They are not saying about the current and non-current. More than 1 year, current, non-current, nothing is said about that. Here the issue is only provision. If provision is actually provided as per the requirements, debtors should have been less. We did not check, so debtors is more. So the answer is option C. Fine, let's proceed to Q3. Where is Q3? So this is chapter number 5, something related to items in FS. Okay. Yeah, this is Q2 passage. Now, in relation to the pending tax litigation, legal opinion obtained by the management, which of the following procedure will be most appropriate as per SA 501? See, they have asked the procedure which is appropriate as per 501. So without even looking at the passage, without even going through the case study, we can try to read the option. Why? They asked as per 501. Let's try to read. Ada, 501. What is 501? Specific considerations for selected item. Inventory, litigation and claims, segment reporting. In that, whenever there is a litigation, first inquiry, obtain written representation, read minutes book, review legal expenses. But if you think risk is high, you will meet and discuss with the external counsel. Before you discuss, you have to get management permission. This you know. So now say which is the option. Meet the external counsel directly without involving management. See, we can meet directly But this, without involving management, see, it is company case. You can meet, but before you do, you have to obtain a permission. Next, send direct enquiry letter to the legal counsel, meaning we will directly contact him without involving management. Next, meet the legal counsel only after obtaining representation. Representation is SA 580. Send letter of enquiry to the legal counsel with management permission. Can you say which is the most correct option here? Which is the most correct option? A, B, C, D. See, let's rule out first. You cannot meet directly without management's permission. So A is wrong. You cannot send directly unless you obtain management. Can I know whether C or D, which is most appropriate? See guys, written representation, which is SA 580. In that, SA 580, written representation. In that, we study written representation is obtained near to the audit report. Whereas this letter of inquiry, etc., is done during the audit. There is nothing connected with the representation. Representation you obtain towards the end of the audit near audit report. Here to communicate with the legal counsel, you don't need a representation. You just need their permission. See, SA 580 we learn. So the most appropriate answer is which one? Yeah. Answer is D. Letter of inquiry you can send with the permission of management. In fact, they will prepare and we will send directly, meaning with the permission of management. Did you understand why management representation letter is not the correct option? That is because as per SA 580, written representation is obtained near audit report date. Whereas this is your audit procedure. Okay, now we'll go to the question 4. This one, yeah. Which of the following is the most appropriate deficiency in the procedure of audit performed for purchases and imported raw material? See, if you want, you can go and read the question. Where is it? This is about the litigation, which is Q3. This is about the purchases and the question Q4. Now we'll read. Arjun observed that a substantial increase of 40% when compared to previous year, along with the concentration of procurement from limited overseas vendors following restructuring exercise. To understand these fluctuations, he performed analytical procedure including trend analysis. So he did analytical procedure. As per SA 520, analytical procedures are done to identify the inconsistencies. He also verified inward gate records, corresponding invoices. However, these testing were restricted to selected months during the year, excluded transaction recorded to the close of the end. So he did the analytical procedure. Okay, analytical procedure is done. Then he verified the inward entry with the purchase invoice. He did test of details. TOD is test of detail. But what did he omit? He did not excluded the transaction near the year end. You know what? Whenever you do audit practically in your articleship, practically 31st March year-end transaction risk high. In bank audit also we check that. We call it as red flag. So you have to be careful what are the transaction near the year end. If year-end transactions are wrong, cutoff will be wrong. What is cutoff? Current year segregated from the next year. No additional procedure were designed specifically to address the cutoff. So this is the case. So he did analytical, he did test of detail, but towards the year end, he did not do. Nothing else he did to check the cutoff. Now, can you say, here we were asked to identify the deficiencies, huh? Tell me, inadequate procedures around the year, resulting around the year end, resulting in cutoff. He did not do. So this is a deficiency. Read the other options. Excessive reliance on test of details instead of analytical procedure. Now, can you reply, is this option correct or incorrect? In our question, he did analytical procedure, da. Come on, see, he did analytical procedure, see, trend analysis, etc. He did. So the option 2 is wrong. He did analytical procedure. He failed to perform analytical procedure. Wrong. Can you say D A, which is a significant deficiency? So the answer is A. See, inadequate procedures round the year end. See, if year end 31st March, 31st March is the year end. If you don't check that cut off, March transaction may fall in April, April transaction may fall in March. So the most significant deficiency is A. They asked you most. So answer is A. See, analytical he performed, right? So it's not analytical. Verifying legal existence is like he did not verify, but the most appropriate answer is A. Can we go to Q5? Okay. So this is chapter number, the fourth question was, this one was chapter number 4, essay 501. This was the most deficiencies. This is relating to the procedures. Okay. Now last question, fifth one. Considering the significant changes during the year, which of the following best evaluates Arjun's decisions regarding engagement terms? Whenever you hear about the engagement letter, which essay will come to your mind? Which essay? Essay 210, agreeing on the terms. Now, which passage should we read? Last passage. Further, during the year end, this one, company underwent several significant changes, including replacement of senior management personnel, transition from the previous financial reporting framework to Ind AS, introduction of new regulatory compliance affecting the financial reporting disclosures. Despite these developments materially affecting the scope reporting considerations, CA Arjun decided to continue the original terms without revising the changes in the letter. And you remember in essay 210, we learned in case of recurring audit, whenever there are changes, we should revise the terms to remind the management. There are a lot of cases which we learn in essay 210. Okay. These are the cases. See, changes in reporting requirement, changes in financial, changes in legal term, changes in size of the entity, changes in ownership, changes in senior management, changes, special terms, misunderstanding. Here in this question, okay, there are a lot of changes, financial reporting changes has occurred, regulatory, they did not revise. So which is the option? No revision. Revision was necessary due to significant changes. Revision of terms becomes necessary only if management requests. No revision was required since auditor has audited earlier year. See, recurring audit, usually you need not give. However, when there are changes, you need to remind the management. Here there are changes, so you need to remind. Changes, you need to remind. So which is the correct option? That's right. Answer is B. Nothing like that. Only when management asks, there's no option like that. So are we clear with the case scenario? So if you see, guys, see, first question was chapter 11, second question was chapter 5, next was chapter 4, again last was chapter 11. In between question 4 was a procedure related question. So it's a mixture of various chapters. If this is clear, if you give me a green signal, we'll go to individual MCQ. 3 MCQs are there. Can we proceed? So this is individual MCQs. Okay. Now case study is over. See, whenever big question comes, we can try to read from the last sentence. This is small only. So let's read. LR and Co Chartered Accountants are conducting the statutory audit of beta exports for the year. During the audit, team is verifying the borrowings of the company. It was observed that company has obtained a loan denominated in foreign currency. While checking the year-end transaction, auditor verifies the closing exchange rate and recalculates the loan amount to ensure that it is restated in the financial statement as per applicable AS. Based on the scenario, identify the assertion. You know, right? Chapter number 5, items in FS states about assertion, and even chapter number 4, along with SA 500 assertions are there. Now this is loan. Now let's revise for 1 minute. Loan is an item where items in account balance sheet. So what are the main assertion? Existence, rights or obligation, valuation and allocation, completeness, and even cutoff we have to see. Here, loans, foreign exchange, $1 or whatever it is equal to this much of rupees. You are recalculating for arithmetical accuracy amount. Amount means what? The answer is very good, valuation. Easy. Completeness means you're checking whether anything is omitted. Rights and obligation means you're checking whether it is pertaining to the company. Existence means whether it is existing as on balance sheet. Here it is amount. Amount means valuation. Are we clear? Okay, Q6. Now Q7. An auditor wants to ensure that he has complete knowledge of locations where a company's inventories are stored. Since all the storage locations are stated to be taken on rent, the auditor seeks a independent source of audit evidence to verify whether all inventory storage locations have been disclosed by the management. See, this question is something related to chapter 5, items in FS. This question is something related to independent source of evidence. See, based on source, evidence can be internal and evidence can be external. SA 500, chapter 4. Plus, he wants to ensure that all has been disclosed by management, meaning nothing is omitted, which is the most relevant procedure for two things. One, independent source, plus everything is disclosed. Can you reply? See, inspecting certificate of incorporation of the company, is it a relevant procedure to check the location where the inventory is kept? And they said it is taken on rent. So this is irrelevant procedure. They have taken on rent. First one. Now, verifying the rent agreements provided by the company. Is internal, external? Come on, da. Verifying the rent agreement provided by the company is something which they give. It can be fabricated. It is more, not independent source. It is more like internal. Rent agreement is prepared by them. It's from management. So that doesn't suit the independent source. Now, visiting the location. That's good. But can I know one thing? If you visit the location which is already in the rent agreement, you will only know what is already in FS, right? Will you know the omission by management? Let me know. Rent agreement is there. We are visiting already those rent agreement location. We will know whether it is in existence, but we won't know whether it is omitted. We want to know whether they have omitted, whether all are disclosed. Whereas, if you inspect GST registration, in GST registration, one GST registration is something from the GST portal, etc. One independent source. Second, in GST registration, they say principal business, etc. Location. So the most appropriate answer is A. One independent source, plus we will know whether there is any omission of the locations. Okay. Okay. Can we go to the last MCQ? While evaluating the reliability of audit evidence, the audit team identifies the following documents. See, again, they are talking about reliability of evidence. The reliability of evidence is 500. Rules on reliability. You remember? Evidence obtained from independent sources more reliable. If internal control is more effective, internal evidence is reliable. Obtained directly by auditors reliable. Obtained in documentary form directly by auditor. Okay. Delivery challenge prepared by the company. Okay. Shipping bills downloaded from customs portal. Bank statement downloaded from bank's portal, from bank's website. Supplier quotations received. Supplier means creditors. As discussions arises among the team regarding the classification of document as internal and external. Again, the question is repeat. Similar to question number 7. Based on source, it can be internal and external. Particularly considering some document generated externally, okay, the engagement partner emphasized the importance of source and reliability. Which of the following is most appropriate based on above? See, they wanted the external. Can you say which all are the external out of these 4? 1, 2, 3, 4, na? All are external. 1 and 2 external. Option C. Let's discuss. See, delivery challenge prepared by the company. Is it internal, external? See, company prepares, na? So this is internal. Shipping bills downloaded from customs portal. See, customs portal is something outside the company. So this is external. Okay. Where is the next one? Bank statement downloaded from bank's official portal. See, if it was BRS, bank reconciliation statement, then it would have been internal. Here they downloaded from the bank's website. So this is external. If it is BRS, then it would have been internal. BRS means bank reconciliation. Suppliers quotation received. Now let me know whether this is internal or external. See, source, from where it arises, source is external, right? Supplier is a person outside. Okay, so this is also external. So 2, 3, 4, right? Yeah, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is, which is external? Answer is D. 2, 3, 4. Can you reply whether you guys understood this? Yeah, this is again related to chapter number 4. Essay 500, Rules on Reliability of Audit Evidence. Are we clear? So now let's move on to the descriptive part of the RTP for the September 26. Now, as you know, the first chapter is nature, objective, and scope of audit. In that, the basic standard which is covered is essay 200. A lot of other topics are also there. Now, let's read the question. So, whenever a big question comes, the most appropriate option would be to read from the last part. Okay, so what they want in this question, explain the meaning of assurance engagement. Assurance engagement. Considering the meaning of assurance engagement, identify who's the practitioner, who's the responsible party, who's the intended user. Now, discuss the elements of assurance engagement. Now, when we discuss the descriptive question, we will study that particular part of that chapter also. So, let it be useful. Now, in chapter number 1, there is a topic which is called as the assurance engagement. Yeah, the triangle story. Who are the three parties? We have practitioner, we have intended users, okay, and you have the responsible party. Here in this question, now let's read. ABC Limited is a listed company who have engaged CST and co-chartered accountant as the auditors for the financial year. The financial statements have been prepared by the management in accordance with the AFRF and requirements. During the audit, auditor evaluates the financial statements as per the principles, gathers evidence, and expresses the opinion. Now let's discuss that concept of assurance engagement. Okay, let's revise and go. So practitioner, here the practitioner means it is the CST and co. Intended users, the users of this particular report is the shareholders, it is the investors, it is the lenders, and we call it as stakeholders. And who's the responsible party? The responsible party means the management who prepares the financials. So ABC's management is the responsible party. Now, first they have asked about what is assurance engagement. So what is assurance engagement? Assurance engagement is an engagement in which the practitioner gives a conclusion on the subject matter as per the criteria so that the confidence of users will be enhanced. So the main purpose is to enhance the confidence of intended users. Okay, so that's the assurance engagement, first part. Second part, who's the practitioner responsible and intended users? I've already told you. What are the elements in the assurance engagement? In assurance engagement, we have a subject matter. Subject matter means the information to be examined by the practitioner. Then you have the criteria. Criteria is the benchmark to evaluate the subject matter. Okay. Then you have to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence on the subject matter, whether it is prepared as per the criteria. Then you will give a written assurance report. When you are doing this, there are three parties involved. The three parties are practitioner, intended users, and responsible party. So these are the elements. Okay. Now, how to present this answer for the exam? Okay, let's discuss that and then go. Now you can put a heading. So this will be like 4 or 5 marks, right? Now you put a heading. What heading? You put a heading called as assurance engagement. Okay. You put a heading assurance engagement. Then you put subpart A. Now, A, you write what is assurance engagement. So you write assurance engagements. Okay, is an engagement in which practitioner, okay, expresses conclusion on subject matter, whether it is prepared as per the criteria by obtaining evidence so as to enhance confidence of intended users. So practitioner will check the what? He will check the subject matter against the criteria. So that will be the first part. In the second part, B, they have asked you in this particular case to identify practitioner responsible and intended user. So put B and then you write in the given case, okay? What will you write? Practitioner is. Who's the practitioner? The chartered accountants, right? CST and co. CST and co. CST and co. Chartered accountants. Then who's the responsible party? Responsible party is the ABC Limited's management. ABC Limited's management. Then who's the intended users? Intended users are the people who use the FS or the audit report. So you can write the stakeholders, okay, such as shareholders, investors, bank, other peoples. That's it. So A part you wrote, B part. Then in the C part, that will be the most elaborate part where you will write about these 5. Then you put the elements in the assurance engagements are the subject matter. You explain in one sentence the information which practitioner examines against criteria. Then criteria is the benchmark to evaluate the subject matter. The practitioner has to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence to evaluate. Then practitioner has to give a given assurance report on the subject matter, whether it is as per the criteria. This conclusion, 3 parties involved. This you should write, elaborate in one sentence. So that's it. See, I'm just teaching you how to present rather than merely showing the answer. Okay. So it's a revision, right? So the first question, the descriptor. If that's okay. Can you say proceed? Can we go to the next one? Yes. The next one is, audit strategy, planning and program. See, strategy planning is basically essay 300. That's a big question. So what we'll do, as usual, we'll go to the last part and read. Come on. Life is a race. Run, 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 run. With reference to essay 300, we have said essay name. Planning the audit of FS, explain auditor's documentation requirements with respect to overall strategy, plan, changes during the course with reasons. They themselves have given everything. Now you have to just elaborate it and write. How to present this? Now you can put with a heading. Okay, put a heading. We'll put heading here. Okay. Documentation requirements. Okay, documentation requirements in audit plan, right? Now, as per essay 300, okay, the auditor shall document what all. He shall document 3 things, guys. What all he did in essay, he has to document. First one, the overall audit strategy. Okay, then overall strategy, then overall audit plan, not the overall, the audit plan which he has formulated, then significant changes along with the reasons for such changes. So this should be your intro para. As per essay 300, the auditor shall document the strategy, plan and the changes along with the reason. Now, in the second para and the third para, you can write about audit strategy. Then you can write about audit plan. Okay. Now, the documentation of why to document strategy, documentation of strategy, why to document? It is a record of the important decisions which we take, right? Important decisions regarding the proper plan and matters communicated to team. Matters communicated to team regarding the scope, direction, timing of audit. So the second passage you can write about strategy. Documentation of strategy is an important record of decision in the audit, that audit is properly planned and matters communicated to the team regarding the scope, direction, timing of audit. Now, third para you can write plan. Okay, documentation of plan is the record of what nature, timing, and extent of plan, risk assessment procedure, then nature, timing, and extent of further audit procedures done as a response to risk, and other procedures done as per the relevant standards. So that should be elaborated. Okay. Now, fourth para. See, we elaborated this. Now you have to elaborate this, okay, regarding the changes. Fourth para, a record of change. Record of significant changes, okay, along with the reasons. Along with the reasons, okay, resulting in the changes in procedure. Okay, what response we did, and other circumstances that should be documented. Now, ma'am, what is this? Elaboration of this. Based on circumstance, you have changed. Now, finally, how do you conclude? See, this we read. We didn't read this now. Just read. KLM and Co. Chartered Accountants were appointed as the auditors. During the phase, the partner developed the strategy and plan. Okay. While conducting the unexpected risk resulting in the inventory weakness procedures, including the changes, the engagement partner ensured that all these changes and reasons were properly recorded. He recorded. Before completion, a junior raised a query regarding responsibility to document. Did the partner document in the given case? Answer is yes. So fifth para you write in the given case. Okay. The firm KLM and Co. In the given case, KLM and Co. have complied with the complied with the documentation requirements as per essay 300. That's it. So first, initially we started by writing what all to document, then you elaborated those three, and in the given case and conclusion. That's it, guys. So yeah, let's proceed to the next one. Yes. Next is chapter 3. Risk assessment and internal control. Discuss. So last sentence, let's read. Discuss the factors auditor should consider while using the audit evidence obtained in previous audit and requirement of establishing the continuing relevance. This is a specific heading in the material which I'll show you. Before that, let's read. PQR and Co. Chartered Accountants are the auditors of LLP MN Limited during the audit of the year ended 31st March. The auditors considers relying upon the evidence obtained in the previous year's audits regarding the operating effectiveness of controls over revenue recognition. They wanted to rely. However, during the discussions, it was observed that there has been some changes in the personals in account department. Certain IT have been upgraded. Auditors evaluating whether it is appropriate to rely or not in the previous audits. Before we start, I'll show you that heading which is there. Yeah, this is my material. See, there is a specific heading. Okay, this is chapter number 3. While using the audit evidence obtained in previous year, okay, in determining whether it is appropriate to use the evidence about operating effectiveness in previous audit, okay, we have to consider the following factors. See, a lot of cases we may use the evidence obtained in the previous audit, but blindly you cannot use it. We have to consider certain factors. What are the factors to be considered? The effectiveness of other elements in internal control, such as the control environment, risk assessment procedure. Effectiveness. If control is not effective, you cannot rely. Risk arising, control can be either manual or automated. So what are the different risks? If the risk is high, again, you cannot blindly rely. Effectiveness of general IT controls, IT control, application control, IT dependence. So how effective the general IT controls? General IT control is a pervasive control. Effectiveness of controls and application by the entity. How far the entity has applied this control. Whether there is a lack of change in particular control, because of that, whether there is a risk. See, always the entity will not remain same. It will keep on changing. So whether there is any changes. Finally, whether there is a chance of risk of material misstatement. So these are the few factors which you have to check before you are using audit evidence regarding operativeness of control which is already obtained in the previous audit. How far controls were effective? What are the risks arising from the controls? How far the general controls were effective? How effective was the control and its application by the entity? Whether there is any risk because of changes or there is any lack and risk of material misstatement by reliance on the controls. So first what you have to do is, in this question, first you have to write this much. Where is our question? Here. So in the first para, put the heading, using. What is it? Yeah, using evidence in previous audit. While using the evidence in the previous audit. Okay. Then you write this passage fully, you write in determining. This is the main passage. Then, that's the first passage, the big passage, full you have to write this much. Then you can write, if auditor uses audit evidence from previous audit, okay, he has to consider the above factors and changes. The conclusion, in the given case, it's a case study now. In the given case, who PQR and Co, the chartered accountant, should carefully evaluate the factors such as changes in personnel, the accounts department, etc., before using the evidence. So, 3 passage answers over. So don't forget, after writing this, you have to write a common sentence. The auditor shall check the above factors, and then in the given case, what? These changes should be considered before you are relying on the previous audit's evidence. Right? Okay. Can we go to the next one? So let's move on to the next question. Okay. All good? Let's go. Proceed. Okay. 12th one. This is from the chapter Audit Evidence. Audit Evidence, essay, 500 series, 500, 501, 505, 510, 520, 530, 550. And essay 610 is also there in this particular chapter. Very important chapter. Now let's read the question. As I told you, in the big questions, let's concentrate first on the last sentence. In the above context, explain how assessment of risk of material misstatement influences the sample size for test of details. So when you read this question, you understood that this question is pertaining to sampling, which is essay 530, and audit sampling for test of details. So if you see in essay 530, you select the sample. On sample, you perform audit procedure. Audit procedures are both test of controls to find out the deviations in control and test of details to find out the material misstatement. Now they are asking how, this question is specific, not general. This question is asking how the risk of material misstatement will influence sample size on test of details. Now let's see how we will present for the exam, and let's discuss the answer also. Now for the descriptive questions, always better to start with a heading. Now put a heading, sample size. Okay. Now you may give the reference of essay 530. So as per essay 530, audit sampling. Okay. Odd samples means selecting less than 100% of item within the population. Just one sentence would do. Don't write much. Now, they're asking with respect to risk, how sample size will be affected. Higher the risk of material misstatement. We are in this particular point. We will read this question. Higher the risk of material misstatement. I'm just discussing the concepts. Higher the risk of material misstatement, larger the sampler, smaller the sampler. Higher the risk of material misstatement, larger the what? Size of sample. Now, the auditor's assessment of risk of material misstatement will include both inherent risk as well as the control risk. Now this should be the first passage. Now let's read the case study. TUV and Co. Chartered Accountants are appointed as the auditors of DEF Limited for the year ended 31st March. During the audit of trade receivables, auditor assessed high risk due to weak control. Controls are weak. An absence of ineffective TOC, test of control. As a result, audit team decides to rely more on substantive procedure, particularly test of details, to obtain evidence. While planning the audit sampling, the junior auditor raises a query how the risk of material misstatement would impact the sample size. So here controls are weak, TOC is ineffective, so you need to perform more TOD so that you can reduce detection risk. So again, coming back to the presentation, in the first para we wrote higher the risk of material misstatement, larger the size. The auditor's assessment of risk of material misstatement will include two risks, right? Inherent risk and control risk. See, I'm guiding you how to write step by step in the examination rather than just simply showing the answer. Okay, first para. Now, two procedures we said, right? TOC and TOD. So first we perform TOC and controls are weak or ineffective. Then you decide how much TOD. So in the next para you say, if what? If auditor doesn't, see, ineffective TOC na, doesn't perform TOC, okay, he will be unable to reduce the risk of material misstatement with respect to internal control. That is, to reduce risk to a what level? Risk to an acceptable low level. What do you have to do? You have to increase audit procedure, meaning he has to perform more substantive audit procedure to reduce which risk? Detection risk. Risk is inherent risk, detection risk, control risk. Hence, sample size need to be increased when more risk of material misstatement is assessed. So auditor doesn't perform TUC. So he's unable to assess the risk of material misstatement with respect to internal control. So to reduce risk to an acceptable level, he has to perform more procedure. If he has to perform more procedure, more SAP. Okay, to reduce the risk. Hence, sample size need to be increased when risk is high. Now, this should be your next para, second passage. Now you can link it to the given case. In the given case, what? Risk is high. In the given case, risk of material misstatement is high. Hence, auditor should increase sample size for test of detail to reduce risk to an acceptable low level. So that should be your concluding para. In the given case, since risk is high, auditor should perform more procedure to reduce risk to an acceptable low level. Are you clear? So that's it. So guys, here don't write general answers such as writing about the test of controls more, or writing about the sample size depends upon auditor's judgment. When you decide sample size, nature of entity, tolerable level has to be seen. No. Here they ask the specific question. So start with an introduction, that's fine. After that, directly go to what they have asked. Your answer should be specific to the question rather than general. Okay. Now, if all good, can we go to the next one? Let me get a thumbs up. Okay. Okay. Let's proceed to the next one. 13th one. Okay. Considering the above facts, explain factors that affects nature, timing, and extent of audit procedures when evidence is based on the work of management expert. Management expert. When you hear about management expert, it is which essay? It is essay 500. Essay 500, audit evidence. It also includes auditor using the work of not auditor's expert, management experts. Now, what they have asked in the question. VW and co-chart accountants are auditing the company engaged in infrastructure development. Company has recognized significant amounts of provisions relating to environmental restoration cost, and report is prepared by external expert engaged by management. So it's a management expert. During the audit, auditor considered using his report. However, he is concerned about the reliability of the expert work, which cannot be relied without performing additional procedures. See guys, be careful. When you are using the work of management expert, there are some points now. You have to consider the objectivity, capability, integrity, competence. Then understand the work, whether his work is appropriate. That is, you are going to use. Here the question is not that. Here the question is, what factors will affect how much procedure you should perform? The nature, timing, and extent of audit procedure, how much you should perform. It depends upon certain factors. So it's a direct question. So directly I will show you the answer from my book. Okay. So yeah. So what are the factors? Here. See, this is, it is SA 500. In that, there is a heading. You saw, using the work of management expert. In that, two things are there. Don't confuse. When you're using the work of management expert, auditor shall see whether the expert work is okay, significant for his audit. In that competence, capability, objectivity, you will obtain appropriate. Here they did not ask that. What they asked in this question, what factors we will see in determining the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedure. So the answer will be this. When information to be used as audit evidence, okay, the nature, timing, and extent of procedure will be affected by these are the factors. Okay, so it depends upon what matter, the nature and complexity. If the matter is more complex, more procedure you have to do on his work. Risk, more we have to perform procedure. The other alternative sources from which you will get the audit evidence. Other than this, you will get evidence from some other sources. Objectivity, scope of management experts. Whether the expert is employed by the entity. If he is employed, there can be a risk of biases. So more procedure you should do. How far management can exercise influence over experts' work, you should check. If you feel they can influence him more, we should check his work more. Management experts' technical performance, whether he's performing as per the standards required. Controls, okay, how much controls are there in the entity over management experts' work, and knowledge and previous experience. These factors we should consider when deciding the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedure while using the work of management experts. So guys, don't confuse these factors with the above 3 points. Okay, these are the factors in deciding the nature, timing, and extent of procedures. So here, how we will start writing the answers. Guys, first put a heading. What? Using work of management expert. I'm just guiding you, okay? I'm not sitting and writing everything. I'm just guiding you how to present. Okay, now you got that. Then you can write as per SA 500. You can just, that's only for an intro. As per SA 500, audit evidence, auditor can use the work of management expert, and the nature, timing, and extent of audit procedure depends on following factors. In that, these factors, the factors which we just discussed, these factors you will write. When you write this, you can write it as points. Now, how will you conclude? This will be the first. The second para, how will you conclude? In the given case, okay, the auditor, who's the auditor? This one, now. VW and Co. should consider above factors while relying on environmental experts' report in assessing the reliability of evidence. So in the given case, auditor VW and Co. should consider the above factors while using the environmental experts' report to assess the reliability of evidence. So don't forget to put that concluding para. Okay. So that's a very important chapter, guys. Audit evidence. Okay. Now going to the next one. Come on, come on, come on. Life is a race. Run, 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 run. Can we go? Yes. Items in FS. In fact, whenever you study, you should understand how the questions will be framed, especially in this chapter. So here there are different ways in which they can form the question. First, they can give a situation, ask you to find an assertion, or they can ask you to explain the assertion in detail, or they will give the assertion in the question. They will ask you to write the procedures. They can be essay related question like trade receivables, trade payables, essay 505. Then AS accounting standards related question can come like in inventory, and also law related question can come like in case of share capital, etc. So these are the different varieties of questions which you can expect from audit of items in FS. You can refer my YouTube video on that. Now let's proceed with the question without delay. Last sentence you read as usual. Having regard to the above, explain audit procedure to establish completeness of inventory. See, here they are not asking us to find assertion. They have given the assertion. We are supposed to write what procedures. The assertion given is completeness. The item is inventory. So what should be our answer? Simple. Directly write what are the procedure we should do to check completeness of inventory. Right? So the question, X, Y, Z and co-chartered accountant, auditors of the company manufacturing for the year 31st March. During the year, engagement partner emphasizes on importance of completeness. The audit team observed that inventory is stored at multiple locations, including third-party warehouses, companies dealing with consignment goods as well. Further, there are concerns regarding cut-offs, discrepancies between physical counting and accounting records. So take note of all these points. Okay, so procedures we have asked. Here in this chapter, it is not essay, it's a direct thing. So you can start writing following are the procedures directly. Okay, we'll start. Okay, so yeah, here. Audit procedure for completeness, right? Yeah, completeness of inventories. Starting with the heading will make the presentation good. Okay, so following are the audit procedure to ascertain the completeness of inventory. So first, from the question itself you will get, in the question they are saying the consignment, third party warehouses. From that you can get few points. First, goods received on consignment basis, whether it is properly segregated from other inventory. And first write the points which you get from the question. Now they're dealing with consignment, that should be properly segregated from others. Then warehouses they have given. So reconcile, you have to check, reconcile inventories of client, okay, and which is held in the books, and those held with the third parties, and held with the third parties such as transporters, warehouses, etc. Okay, then what else you will get? Now you can write about the cutoff procedures. Okay, regarding the cutoff procedure, okay, perform cutoff, okay, procedures regarding purchases. The year-end cutoff procedures regarding the purchases and sales. Immediately before the year end, immediately before year end, near 31st March, before year end. Okay, now you can trace financial and what you call financial and non-financial, such as weight of the inventory, etc. Non-financial can be traced. This much inventory, so quantity of inventory, weight of inventory can be traced. Then you will perform analytical procedures. Perform analytical procedures such as turnover ratio, inventory turnover ratio, then what you call vertical analysis of the balance sheet. Okay. Then you can check the inventory system. Perpetual record inventory system can be checked. Okay. Like perpetual records, you can check. Then they are saying some discrepancies are there in the records. Now, so discrepancies mean some mathematical, arithmetical errors. So verify the clerical and arithmetical accuracy of inventory. Then what else? They are written now physical stock. So physical and actual in the books can be reconciled. So reconcile physical count with the ledger. Hey guys, from this passage itself, you will get many points. See, consignment, the inventory held with the third party, cut off sales, physical, minimum 5 points. So that's it. Now, don't forget to write the conclusion. Ma'am, it's over. So, here, this is the first thing. Okay, following procedures. Then you write in the given case. Okay, auditor shall perform above procedure. Perform above procedure. Above procedure, na? Yeah, above procedures to ascertain completeness of inventory. Just a concluding para. Just one or two sentences. Done. So be careful here. Don't write about valuation of inventory because the assertion asked here is completeness. If you're writing something else other than the points relating to completeness, they won't give you the marks. Okay, so be careful. Okay, shall we proceed? Audit documentation. Audit documentation, one of the smallest chapter, which is essay 230. When you study, please link it with SQC1, which is chapter number 11. Okay. Okay. Let's read the question. With reference to the above, explain the concept of completion memoranda, which is otherwise called as audit documentation summary, and its significance in audit. This is another direct question. A, B, C, and co chartered accountants have completed the audit of PQR, a large and complex entity for the financial year ended. During the year, several significant matters were identified, including revenue recognition issues, valuation of instruments. Before finalizing the audit file, the engagement partners suggest preparing the structured summary highlighting all the issues and how they have resolved. From this itself, you will get points. Mr. D. Audit Assistants queries the purpose and usefulness of such document. So here you have to write what is completion memoranda and what is its purpose. So yeah, how to write? You put a heading, na? Audit completion memoranda or completion memoranda. Okay. So first you have to write what is completion memoranda, which I'll show you 1 second. So this is about the audit documentation summary, otherwise called as the completion memorandum. The auditor may consider it helpful to prepare and retain as a part of documentation a summary. This summary is called as the audit completion memoranda. That should be the first part. This completion memoranda describes the significant matters identified during the audit, including how it was addressed. That should be second part. Now, such file or the such document, such summary may facilitate effective, efficient review and inspection of documentation, particularly for large and complex audit. For large audit, when you take and see in the next year, it's not possible to sit and refer every file. So this completion memoranda will be like a summary file. So this should be the first part of the answer. Okay. So you can start. As per essay 230, audit documentation. Audit documentation is a record of procedure, evidence, and conclusion. Then directly write this. Full you have to write in sentence. Okay. So that should be the first part of the answer. They have asked that. Even the purpose we have told. Okay. So, second, this completion memoranda, okay, this completion memoranda, audit completion memoranda may also help the auditor to achieve what? The objective as per essays. See, as per essay, you have to maintain. So, maintaining will help to achieve the objective that you have to add. Third, in light of above, okay, so you can write in the given case, the ABC and co chartered accountants have found out several issues. Assembling in audit completion memoranda may help in providing a what? In providing a clear summary of important matters and conclusions. So guys, the first part, the most important part where you will use a keyword and write this. Second, this maintaining audit completion memoranda will help the auditor in achieving the objective as per the relevant essay, which is essay 230. Then you write in the given case, okay, audit completion memoranda may help the auditor in providing a clear summary of important matters and its conclusions. Done. Wow, we have reached 15 questions. Few more questions. Come on, don't give up. Okay, to give up, we take only 1 second, but to stay on race, we should be champions. Come on, let's proceed. Chapter 7, which is completion and review, which is essay 560, 570, 580, 260, 265, 450. Okay, let's read. Explain how the auditor should evaluate management assessment of entities' ability to continue as going concern. So when you read this, you understood the question is with respect to going concern, which is nothing but essay. Let me know in the chat box, essay 570. Now read the question above. EF and co-chartered accountants were appointed as the auditors. During the audit, auditor reviews management assessment of company's ability to continue. Company has a consistent history of profitability, easy access to bank finance. However, management has not prepared detailed analysis to support its assessment. In a separate case, EF and Co. auditing XYZ Limited, the auditor notices management assessment of entities' ability to continue going concern only cover 9 months from the date of FS. So this is a separate case. Huh? This is another case. This is XYZ Limited case. This is UVW Limited. Okay, 2 cases they have asked in this question, but both are relating to one thing. Going concern in that what specifically regarding management assessment. So let's proceed to write the answer. Yeah, we'll write here. So you put a heading, going concern, management assessment of going concern. Okay. Now you can write as per essay 570 going concern. Okay. Auditor shall obtain sufficient and appropriate audit evidence whether management use of going concern is, what's the word? Appropriate in preparation and presentation of FS. Now, ma'am, here there are two cases. XYZ Limited is one case and UVW is another case. Now, let's take individual cases after we explain this common point. See, both the cases, they are asking about management assessment. So, let's write the provision commonly for both. Okay. So, what you have to write? This one, I'll show you. See, here. The auditor shall evaluate management assessment of entity's ability to continue as going concern. That is, evaluation of process followed by management to make the assessment and assumption on which the assessment is based and management plans. This also you should add. Okay, this should be the first para. Second para. If management assessment of entity's ability to continue as going concern is less than 12 months, foreseeable future is minimum 12 months. If their assessment is less than 12 months, ma'am, how did you understand how to write about this? See, in the question, only 9 months, minimum 12 months now. From the date of FS, auditor shall request the management to extend for 12 months. So these two you have to write. This should be the first para. This should be the second para. Okay. So first para you write about what you call this point. Auditor shall evaluate this one. Okay. Auditor shall evaluate. Full. In the second you write, if management assessment is less than 12 months, that second para. Here, you will request them to extend, right? That's the second para. Now, the next para, okay? Here in the first case, they have not given, everything seems to be right, see, profitability is there, EC bank loan, just that they have not prepared the detailed analysis. So, you support that and write, okay? Lack of analysis by management, okay? Lack of analysis by the management, okay? It is not auditor's responsibility to rectify. Correct? Auditor's responsibility to rectify. See, if they have not done, it is not our responsibility to rectify. In some cases, okay, in some cases, if lack of detailed analysis, okay, auditor shall, what? Auditor shall obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence regarding going concern. Example, when profitability of the company is proper, it's an example. So that you have to write, profitability of the company is proper. So this should be your third para. See, para you're dividing based on the question. In the given case, what? In the given case, first company, na, UVW, yeah, UVW Limited. There is a, what is lacking here? There is a consistent history of profitability. However, there is a lack of analysis to support the assessment. Okay, that point you will write. However, auditor may conclude management use of going concern is appropriate even without detailed analysis from audit evidence obtained from other procedures. You saw profitability is there, bank loan is there, you can conclude. Now that is fourth para of UVW. Now last para. In case of XYZ Limited, while evaluating management assessment, auditor found out that they have assessed only for 9 months. However, going concern means company will continue the operations in foreseeable future, which is minimum 12 months. Hence, the auditor should what? Request management to extend the assessment to 12 months, then evaluate. I felt that was a very good question. So yeah, so to sum up, you put a heading going concern management assessment. As per 570, going concern, auditor should obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence in preparation and presentation. Now, then these two para I have to write. Auditor shall evaluate about management assessment, and if assessment is less than 12 months, request to extend. Then in case of UVW Limited, there is a lack of detailed analysis by the management. However, if he is able to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence from other procedures, then he can conclude that it is appropriate. However, in case of XYZ Limited, you have to request them to extend to 12 months, then evaluate whether it is appropriate. That's it. Very important question that. Okay. So, can we go to the 17th one? Come on. Audit report. When you think about audit report, 700 series, 700, 701, 705, 706, 710. Plus in this chapter, you have SA 600, 299, plus Companies Act provisions, section 143 CARO. Okay. Now we'll go to the question. Using the work of another auditor. Okay. It is critical area in audit of entities having branches or components. With reference to SA 600, using the work of another auditor, explain the need for coordination and understanding between principal and another auditor. Procedures performed by the principal auditor to evaluate the work of other auditor, including the circumstances where principal auditor may need to visit the component. So here in this question, you are supposed to write the 600 contents actually. SA 600 contents. So what is SA 600 actually? Principal auditor using the work of another auditor. Okay. In case of components, what is this? Subsidiary, associate, branch, divisions, etc. When it comes, joint venture, etc. When it comes, you will be using the work of other or another auditor. So what to write here and how to write? It's a direct answer. So I'll show you. Just wait after saying the presentation. So you can start with the heading using the work of another auditor or other auditor. Now you can write as per SA 600 using the work of another auditor. Okay. Now I'll show you the content. Here, from here. When, I'll show you. Where another auditor is appointed for the component, the principal auditor is normally entitled to rely on the work of such other auditor unless there are some special circumstances like there is some fraud he suspects, there are some issues in components. In such case, he can visit component or examine books of accounts of the component. So this should be your first para. What? In normal cases, you can rely on the work of others, except in some special cases like fraud, etc. Where you suspect, you may visit the component, you may examine the component records. Now in the second para, it requires that when you are using the work, principal auditor should perform procedure to obtain sufficient and appropriate evidence regarding the work of another auditor is adequate. Now, principal auditor should perform following procedure. This is the main part which they have asked. What? Advise the another auditor regarding the use, like what are the significant judgments, significant areas, make arrangements regarding coordination. Plus, principal auditor should inform the other auditors such as the matters that need special considerations. Even he can give timetable for completion of audit and he can advise. Okay, that should be your next para. So first para you wrote this, next para you wrote about this, third para. Now fourth para, okay, principal auditor might discuss with the other auditors procedures regarding review of a written summary and the findings in the form of questionnaire or checklist. See, principal auditor can advise, they can give the timetable, they can even ask the written summary. Okay, these are the main contents which is required. So since the direct question, I've shown you here. Okay, please go through and let me know if any doubts. So there is no in the given case or there is no conclusion. They have asked a direct question now. So you can just write that and stop. No in the given case, no need of conclusion. Okay. Let's proceed to the next chapter. Yeah. Special features of audit of different types of entities. So here you have the whole lot of audit: cinema, hotel, hospital, education, charitable, trust, government, sole proprietor, you know what not. Lot of audits are there. So let's see what they have asked in this particular question. Read the last para. The management also claimed exemption under Income Tax Act and the society. So it is society is registered under Foreign Contribution Act, which is receiving donations. As an auditor, explain the audit considerations and procedures in audit of society. So now let's read. You have been appointed as the auditor of the society, which is called as Bright Future Welfare Society, registers for promoting the education, social welfare, etc. Society receives donation from public grants, government agencies, and all. During the audit, you observe that societies incurred substantial expense in welfare, admin, purchase of materials for education. Certain expenditure were later reimbursed by the donors. Further, a few complaints alleging improper utilization of the funds. See, when you read the case itself, you might get the points. So read carefully. Now concentrate on the last sentence. What they said, what are the audit considerations relevant to the audit of a society? So they are saying now Foreign Exchange Contribution Act, Income Tax Act. So let's start with it. See, here there is no need of introduction. You can start directly. Okay, we write here. What was the question asked? Audit considerations, right? So you can write audit considerations for audit of society. Okay. Then following are the, that you have to write, following are the points to be considered in audit of the society. First, I'll say the points. I'm not writing in full sentence. First, you have to see the legislative which is applicable. So ascertain, okay, governing legislations of the society. Okay, ascertain what are the governing legislation of society. What are the applicable act, etc. Then Whether, foreign exchange contribution, they said. So, whether society obtained certificate or registration, you can write registration under this particular act. What? Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Foreign Contribution Regulation Act, FCRA. Okay. Then for that, you can read the Memorandum of Association or Bylaws of Society. You have to see. Then they say about the Income Tax Act. Now, from the question itself, you will get it. Then examine relevant provisions of IT, Income Tax Act, regarding the tax exemption for the society. Okay, these points you understood. Now, they are saying about the contributions, donors. Okay, now check the internal control to ascertain regarding the donations. Society will have proper control, so regarding the donations. Okay, then they are saying about the expenditure, right? Then write about the 6 point about the expense. Okay, if expenses are reimbursed. Okay, they are saying now reimbursed, whether it is properly reflected in FS. In case of improper expenditure, whether proper sanction or omission has taken place. See, they're saying some improper expense that you have to check. Then check the accounting. What? Accounting policies. Then, whether there is any malpractices or misappropriation of expenses. So, more or less, the points you will get from this particular case study itself, but don't stop. These are the points. Then, this is a case study. See, unlike here, there is no need of a conclusion. Why? It's a direct question, no case study. Here, it's a case study. So once you write these points in the first part, in the second part, what? In the given case, what? In the given case, auditor of what? Bright Welfare. Auditor of Bright Welfare Society should carry out the above procedure to ascertain whether the donation, expenses, etc. are as per the bylaws. And he shall evaluate. Evaluate means check its impact or its adverse findings on FS. If necessary, auditor will modify the report. So that conclusion and in the given case is necessary. So in the given case, the auditor of Bright Welfare Society should should perform the above procedure and ascertain whether it is properly shown. He shall evaluate its impact or adverse effect on FS. If necessary, he will modify. If necessary, that also you can add. If necessary, auditor shall modify the report. If it is not properly shown in FS, you will modify 705 essay modification. That's it. Wow. Next coming, the interesting chapter. Bank audit. Why so much of calculations are coming in? Audit of bank. In that, advances, very important. Audit of revenue, audit of expense. Then for MCQ purpose, who will appoint the auditor, remuneration, reports of auditors. Okay. Bank auditors. Now, what they want? The management made provisions that substantially lower than the norms. Comment whether the classification of assets, adequacy of provision required to be made by the bank. So when you read this, you understood something related to provisions and classification of assets. We call it as prudential norms. Okay. Now, with this in mind, it is relating to provisions and classification of asset. Provision, you know, right? That percentage. And classification, standard, substandard, doubtful, loss, SMAs, something related to that you understood. Now you can read about keeping that in mind. So let's read one by one. But yes, so you can put a heading and then we'll start. Norms relating to provisioning and asset classifications. Okay, so you know provisioning and asset classification require regarding that. Okay, as per okay prudential norms of RBI, assets are classified into standard, substandard, doubtful, loss. Doubtful is further classified into doubtful 1, doubtful 2, doubtful 3, depending upon the period they have stayed in the doubtful. You know, doubtful 1 is up to 1 year in doubtful. Doubtful 2 is 1 to 3 years. Doubtful 3 is more than 3 years in doubtful. Then, based on the assets, based on classification, provision shall be provided. For substandard 15%, for doubtful 1 it is 25%, doubtful 2 40%, doubtful 3 100% if secured. If unsecured 100%, and loss asset 100. So this explanation you can write only once. You know why? If you see in this question, I can see a lot of names. 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. 5 cases also are there. So every case you need not repeat the provision. So this you can write as common. As per RBI prudential norm, assets are classified into standard, substandard, doubtful, loss. Doubtful is further subdivided into doubtful 1, doubtful 2, doubtful 3 based on the period. Then based on the asset classification, provision is done, the percentage. Okay. Now, be very careful. If you have a calculator or mobile on site, please take and keep. Let me also take a, yeah, let's start. Uh, first one. First one is this para. During the statutory audit of Pragriti Bank Limited for the year ended 31st March, CA Nikhil examined the advances portfolio and noticed several irregular loan accounts. The cash credit facility granted to Ardhav traders 80 lakh has remained in non-performing for 8 months. Okay, so first case 1. Okay, in case of Messrs. What is the name? Ardhrava. Yeah, this one. Messrs. R. Arav traders. Okay, you write the sentence 80 lakhs has remained in non-performing asset for 8 months. Hence, asset classification should be substandard. Am I right? So more than 90 days, here it is 8 months, so it is substandard. Therefore, provision should be, how much provision should be? Here, 15%. Provision should be 15%. That is 80 lakh into 15%. How much 80 lakh into 15? 80 into 15% comes to 12 lakhs. So that was the first case. In case of Arav, it is substandard provision of 12 lakhs. Now that's done. Next, who's the next one in queue? Bright is there, the Bright. Come on. Bright Limited. Bright Metals, huh? Yeah. Bright Metals. Okay. 120 lakhs secured by 120 lakh is the loan. 120 lakh is the loan. Security is 90 lakh. So 120 minus 90, 30 lakh is unsecured. And it is remained in doubtful category for 6 months. Okay, 6 months. So 6 months means it is for asset classification, it is doubtful in that doubtful 1. Why doubtful 1? since it is less than 1 year in doubtful. So asset classification is D1. Now provisioning. So D1, the provision percentage is how much? 25% of secured and balance unsecured is 100%. So for the secured part, okay, for the secured part, you give uh, 90 lakh is secured into 25% unsecured. Here unsecured, now 30 lakh is unsecured. 30 lakh into 100, that is easy, 30 lakh. So what is 90 lakh into 25%? 22.5. So add this 52.5, right? So that's the second case. So in case of bright metals, the asset classification is doubtful 1. Provision is 52.5 lakhs. Good question. Lot of calculations. Now, what's the third one? Bright is over. Now, third one, take which one? Crest. I'll write here. In case of Crest infrastructure, what happened? Secured to the extent of 120, they continued in doubtful for 30 months. See, doubtful 1, doubtful 2, doubtful 3. 30 months means around 2.5 years. So it is in doubtful 1 is less than 1 year, doubtful 2 is 1 to 3 years, doubtful 3 is more. So it is in which one? Doubtful 2. Doubtful 2, right? So for the asset classification, okay, asset classification, it is doubtful 2 since it is between 1 to 3 years, 30 months. Now, provision how much? Provisioning is secured, unsecured. Secured is 120. So 120 into how much percent? 40%, right? 40%. So what is 120 into 40? You. Because of this calculation, for everything we need calculator. Okay, 48 lakhs. Unsecured is 80 lakh. 80 into 100%, which is 80. So 48 plus 80, it comes to 128 lakhs. So in case of Crest infrastructure, what should be done? Asset classification is doubtful 2. Provision is 128 lakhs. Over. Crest is also over. Now next, who's in queue? Delta. In case of Delta, okay, Delta exports more than 5 years. More than 5 years means having security value doubtful. So it is doubtful 3. So asset classification is doubtful 3. Provisioning is 100%. Right. Irrespective of security value. So 100 means how much? 150 into 100, which is 150 lakh. So in case of Delta, asset classification is doubtful 3 since it is more than 3 years and provisioning is 150 lakh. Over. Oh, one more is there. Eagle. Where is Eagle? Here. In another case, 50 lakh is granted to Eagle Industry identified as irrecoverable. Irrecoverable means loss. So in case of Eagle, okay, asset classification is loss. Since it is loss, provisioning is 100%. So 50 lakh. So in case of Eagle, asset classification is loss. Whereas provisioning is 50 lakhs. Now, how will you conclude? Ma'am, what is this? Yes, this much. Thus, auditor should ensure that adequate provisioning and asset classification as above is done. Auditor should ensure that adequate provisioning and asset classification as above is done. To conclude, you will start with a common introduction regarding the prudential norms and asset classifications, provisioning. Then in case of RF, in case of Bright, in case of Crest, in case of Delta, in case of Eagle. All should have 2 points. What asset class question? What is provisioning? Such a big question. Good one. So that's it, guys. We are coming to the last question. With that, tata bye bye. Ethics and terms of engagement, SA 210 to 20 SQC. What they want? Identify the threats on independence arising in the above cases and explain its implication. 5 threat: self-interest threat, self-review threat, advocacy threat, familiarity threat, intimidation threat. Let's see what threat they have involved in this case. During the audit of C Manufacturing Limited for the year ended, Karan, the partner, has observed several circumstances affecting independence. One of the partner held shares. That's the main point. Held shares in the company. The audit firm had also granted a loan to the one of the directors of the company. Fees received from C Limited constitute major proportion of firm's revenue. It was noticed that they undertook the internal audit, management consultancy, and also now subject to audit. In addition, one of the team member recently served as a finance manager. See guys, very easy. Which threat is involved? 2 threats now. First, this is basically self-interest threat. How? Holding shares, financial interest directly in the company. This is what they are doing. We are doing that and we are doing this. This, that. So what? They are undertaking the internal audit as well as. Actually, it's a prohibited also. So this is self-review. So it's a direct. When we find out, it's easy to answer. Threats involved. Put a heading. Threats affecting independence. Now you can write. First, you explain about self-interest threat. Then you explain about self-review threat. Yeah, I'm showing you the material of mine. So self-interest threat, you explain. Self-interest threat is a threat when the auditing firm, its partners should associate from the financial interest in the audit client. And you can also explain self-review threat. Where is it? Yeah. When the review of any judgment or conclusion reached in previous audit or non-engagement or previously the director or employee. So first para self-interest, self-review. These two you explain. Then you write in the given case. First para, second para. Once you explain about self-interest, self-review. In the given case, what? Karan and Co. Karan and Co. holding shares loaned by one of the directors. Okay. Arises in self-interest. Yeah. Self-interest threat. Because of this, see, they have asked in what implication? Because of this, auditor may be, we are having relationship with the company. It's a huge client. We are having so much money from him. How to report about him adversely? We may be reluctant to report. Auditor may be reluctant to report the adverse findings of audit, since the financial relationship or losing of the client. Further, okay, this one, providing the internal auditor, consultancy services, etc. Okay, arises in, that you have to write or etc. arises in what? Arises in self interest, self review threat, where we are giving an assurance on what we have already done. Okay? Because such person, we may examine the accounts, and also give assurance. So, first para about self-interest, second para about self-review, third and fourth. In the given case, you have to write how self-interest and how self-review. Then conclusion, the fifth para. What is the fifth para? Therefore, auditor should place what safeguards to reduce threats to what level da? To reduce threats to acceptable level. That's it, guys. So, guys, if you see the entire RTP without even leaving a question, I've discussed the presentation, I've shown you the answer. If you have spent some time to listen this particular lecture, let me know how you found out, because I did not say I could have easily done, showing you the answer and gone. But I thought once you're attending this lecture, you should be able to get some benefits, how to present, how to think, like that. And buddies, keep going. Success is waiting for you, and we will be successful. All the best.